Contest here at Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. When we return, we'll have the starting lineup for tonight's Husqvarna 100. Welcome back to Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina for tonight's Husqvarna 100. I'm Bill Hennessy, along with Lenny Baticki. The starting lineup for tonight's exciting 100-lap contest around this quarter-of-a-mile bull ring.
From Wilmington, starting in 21st position, Jim Safford. Row number 10 features Michael Kelly and Kansas's Doug Thompson.
18th on the grid from Seminole, Florida, Dwayne Haynes Jr. The 17th starter is Shane Jenkins in car 77.
Row number 8, Ohio's Dave Stacy and rookie contender Davis Myers.
Going 14th is Daryl Murray, another rookie out of Lancaster, South Carolina. 13th is Robert Huffman, surprising a little far back on the grid.
Ronnie Goodwin, one of the top rookie drivers, will start 12th, while veteran Gary Moore comes off 11th.
Going off in row 5 is Larry Caudell, number 12 car, the Husqvarna Dodge. He is flanked on the inside by Junior Miller from here in Winston-Salem in car 69.
Last year's winner Mickey York starts 8th, while Johnny Smith will start from the 7th position.
Row 3, Scott Weaver in the 0 car. He's flanked on the inside by Lyndon Amick in car number 33.
Mike Swaim Jr. starts 4th tonight, while last year's series champion Will Hobgood comes from 3rd.
On the front row for tonight's contest, David Hutto, a two-time winner in the Pontiac Sunfire, car number 97. The man on the front row is Danny Bagwell, car number 10, another two-time winner, and that is a Ford Probe. As we get ready to go in-car camera, this one being driven by Larry Caudell in the Husqvarna Dodge. We'll be going to the next in-car camera a little further up the grid, and that happens to be Lyndon Amick in car number 33. You see him over to the left-hand side of the in-car camera there with Larry Caudell. We're in-car camera now with Lyndon Amick, the Batesburg, South Carolina driver, starting right behind Will Hobgood in car number 65. Lenny, this is a very tight racetrack.
Green flag is waved, and David Hutto has shot right out to the front, and now he's got the whole shot into the first and second corners.
No problem out of the second corner there. Lyndon Amick going around on the nose of Johnny Smith. Amick can't be too happy about this due to the fact that he's in a position to try to win the national championship. He doesn't want to go a lap down, gets his car straightened out immediately, but that start has to be somewhat questionable for Danny Bagwell, who should have taken the green first.
Well, I don't think Amick or Bagwell is too happy right now. Amick, as you say, unhappy with points, but Bagwell probably a little bit miffed inside that race car, as from what most understanding is that the pole sitter is the driver in control. But you've got a good shot here at Gary Moore working over Larry Caudell in through corner number 2. Moore has been doing quite well lately. Got a 6th in Somerville just a couple weeks ago. So he's feeling frisky, as you can see him right there on the inside. We've got the Husqvarna in-car camera taking a good look at Gary Moore's number 99.
Well, Gary dove over to the inside, did not glance off the side of the Husqvarna Dodge and smartly got by. He's chasing Junior Miller right now. Caudell being a bit conservative here in the early going. Junior Miller being aggressive, moving to the inside of Mickey York, now bangs on the back of Johnny Smith. Smith takes him down the back straightaway and heads for turn 3. Smith feels the heat, and Miller gets into the back of him, and he goes around and round. So the yellow flag waves here in the early going. We told you it'd be quite tight quarter racing. Stacy, Shane Jenkins, and 2 other drivers involved in a spin.
Dwayne Haynes and rookie Davis Myers involved in this incident as well in corner number 4.
Well, one driver who's headed to the pits is Mickey York. Mickey likes this racetrack, and a little earlier today we had the opportunity to talk to him.
Well, it's a great place to run. The stadium format around here, you got people all around you. The racetrack's really been good to us. You know, we've got a good setup for here, and we run good here. We're either real good or real bad. But the racetrack is unique in the fact that it is a stadium, and also that the pits are completely off of the racetrack between turn 3 and 4, behind the stadium house, what they call it. And it's just neat. It's a good place to come, and we enjoy coming here, and hopefully we're going to turn our luck around a little bit this year.
What kind of problems does the unique pits here at Bowman Gray Stadium present for you and the team?
Well, the biggest thing here is if you have to come to the pits, you're automatically going to lose laps. There's no way to get in and out without losing laps, even under caution. So you just try to do everything you can to stay out of the pits. But I would say if a man had to come in under green here, he's probably going to lose 5 laps. If you come in under caution, you're going to lose probably 2.
Is there any way to come back from that kind of, differential?
Absolutely not. Not at this racetrack. It's too tight. The competition's too good this year. There's just no way to come back from 2 to 5 laps down. You can get better at it, but I don't think you can make it up here.
Maybe predictable words from Mickey York because he's a lap down now. Junior Miller's being held for overly aggressive driving and turning around Johnny Smith, so he's going a lap down. That's not going to make him too happy, Lenny.
No, it won't. Miller, very accustomed to racing here at Bowman Gray Stadium in one of the most physical racing divisions of all of NASCAR's competitive ranks, the modifieds here at the stadium, and Junior racing as he's accustomed to on a Saturday night, and obviously in the NASCAR Dash Series, that type of beating and banging is not going to be acceptable.
In the unusual pit area outside of turns 3 and 4 behind the field house, Billy Bird is working hard on the Mickey York Pontiac. And let's see if we can get a good tight shot here of what he's doing. Obviously problems with the float inside the float bowl on the Holly 500 CFM carburetor. He's readjusting the float here. Car was obviously cutting out on the initial start here. Bird has the carburetor reset. The hood pins in. Mickey York fires up the engine. Normally under green flag competition, they make a lap here in 16 seconds. Being a bit slow for the last lap only drops Mickey York 1 lap down as he rejoins the field. Your current leader is David Hutto, who's won 2 races so far this season. Right behind him is Danny Bagwell, who has a pair of deuces, and behind him goes Will Hobgood. And there is York, set to come back out in the competition. So he draws onto the racetrack behind Junior Miller's car. Junior Miller, a longtime competitor here at this facility. 36 wins, normally drives a modified car, but he likes racing in the Dash Series. Had these comments.
Well, this is a pretty hard racetrack for somebody to just come in and run good at. It's a racetrack you got to kind of slow down and get off the corners good here. And, we've won, I think, about 36 races here in the modified division. And this race last year, we was leading it there and had a mishap and motor quit on us. But we bought my own car this year and come back and see if we can't come over here and beat these boys. I mean, we might not. We come to try.
The car he bought was that of Ken Eversole from Rock Hill, South Carolina, who recently purchased it this year himself.
Bill, you had speculated on the carburetor for Mickey York. Let's ask his crew chief, Billy Bird.
The carburetor float, evidently we got it too low. We made tried to make some repairs between qualifying and then the race, and didn't get a chance to try it, and we got the carburetor float a little bit too low. We just raised the carburetor float up, hope it'll fix running out of fuel situation.
Green flag flies once again to begin lap number 11. David Hutto up front and blocks the way of Danny Bagwell. One car pulling off the racetrack down to the inside of the football field is Dwayne Haynes Jr. We're in-car camera now, right behind Mickey York, and this is Lyndon Amick. Amick has already suffered some damage on his car in an earlier altercation as he goes to the inside of the car that he was involved in earlier. Matter of fact, he hit the back end of the Johnny Smith car to buckle his whole front end, and it's fortunate that he's able to stay out there and continue racing right now. Hutto, your leader, Bagwell second, Will Hobgood third, and the yellow flag is waving. Caution is on the racetrack, Lenny.
Caution on the racetrack, and with the way Emick's hood is on that race car, it looks like he's got a blocking dummy laid across his windshield as the pace car has now picked up David Hutto and Danny Bagwell in front of a pretty good crowd here tonight at Winston-Salem.
Usually when you buckle a hood as badly as Lyndon Amick's hood is buckled, the car will run hot. I know there must be a great deal of concern from his crew about what the water temperature is on Lyndon Amick's car. They're getting ready to shove the 51 car of Dwayne Haynes Jr. back to the garage area, and in doing so, we have the opportunity to take a break. We'll be back with more of the Husqvarna 100 from Winston-Salem's Bowman Gray Stadium in moments. Welcome back to Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, for the Husqvarna 100. Bill Hennessy along with Lenny Baticki here as we race around a football field where Winston-Salem State University normally plays. We see the field house down between turns 3 and 4 as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. 16 laps have been recorded in the book. The green flag waves from Jimmy Howell.
Once again, David Hutto rockets right off the start This young man has to really be in sync with Jimmy Howell, because he moves every time Howell starts to flinch with that green flag. As the field pours around corner number 2, you see Hutto already down and through corner number 4. Bagwell now has to watch not only in front of him, but as you can see, Will Hobgood, the winner from 1993, is now starting to work the rear bumper. Good little look at Scott Weaver and Mickey York. York commented that once you're a lap down, you have to work hard at it just to try to come back and make you feel good. Well, right now, got to be feeling a little bit better making some laps on some of these cars.
Well, he's trying to work his way back towards the front. Scott Weaver driving one of his backup cars as we go in-car camera now. This being the Larry Caudle entry, the Husqvarna Dodge, working on the rear quarter panel of Gary Moore. Actually, he's not really tapped Gary yet, but he'd like to get up there. He knows he has to take care of his car because he's running for those championship points. We see one driver slowing down to the inside of the racetrack as they head down the front straightaway. The leader being none other than David Hutto. One car slowing way down. That's Davis Myers. And now we see Junior Miller battling with Johnny Smith. Smith on the inside, tags Miller goes around. Michael Kelly makes a spin there, but Miller in the outside retaining wall. Yellow flag flying here at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Looked like Michael Kelly, and we're going to have a replay on this one as you see Smith on the inside, and Smith's car all of a sudden slows down the front straightaway.
Well, they touched right there once, and then Junior drives to the high side, and then up the racetrack goes Smith, and he tags him in the quarter panel and the brand new race car of Junior Miller into the outside retaining wall. Everybody else trying to take some evasive action. This racetrack has a long and varied history over the years. It was built a long time ago, and when you think about this racetrack and its history that has played in the community of Winston-Salem, you best go to someone who knows something about this racetrack, and that's Hank Schofield, the Public Relations Director here for Bowman Gray Stadium.
Well, we'll start at the beginning. Bowman Gray Stadium was built in 1937. That's 58 years ago, I believe. Part of the Works Project Administration of the federal government during the Great Depression. And racing started here. Actually, there was a little sprint car or midget car racing here in 1948, and the promoter left town without paying the paving bill. And Bill France, Sr., and Alvin Hawkins agreed with the city to pay the paving bill in return for a contract to run stock car races, which began on May the 18th, 1949. This is the 47th year of racing at the stadium. A little piece of history, the first main event on that night in May of 1949, of the 13 drivers who started the main event that night, 6 are now in the Sports Hall of Fame, as well as Bill France Sr., who was co-promoter here that night with Alvin Hawkins. So 7 people here that night are in the Sports Hall of Fame now. They were Tim and Fonnie Flock. Fonnie won the race, incidentally, and Tim won the track championship that first year. Curtis Turner, Buck Baker, Herb Thomas, and Jim Pascal. Boy, I didn't think I'd get them all, but I did.
Hank Schofield is a historian and certainly a man filled with knowledge about this particular racetrack. Of course, Hank also has been a newspaper publisher involved in public relations both at this racetrack and up at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And I must say, the guy that gave me the opportunity to work with him in the Universal Radio Network. They broadcast then the Grand National races back in 1979. We'll be talking to Hank a little later as we take a look at more of the racing action here on this quarter-of-a-mile track. Mickey York still trying to work his way back up to the front, has passed a number of cars, but is still a lap down as Mike Swain Jr., the driver that won at Bristol, Tennessee, is being chased by young Scott Weaver, and right behind him is Gary Moore and the Husqvarna Dodge, car number 12 of Larry Caudle.
York using his experience there on the inside, but also using a lot of good sportsmanship as he is letting these drivers who are running for in contention for some of the top spots, letting them go by. In car here with
Larry Caudle. Caudle trying to go to the high side now. Gary Moore over on the inside as Caudle gets into the corner, but doesn't beat Gary Moore down there. Gary Moore stays in front of him. And Gary hanging on tonight, having himself a very good run. Whoa, we got a problem in turns 3 there, and that happens to be Darrell Murray.
A couple of our rookies getting together. He tapped with Ronnie Goodwin in that incident.
And right there is Lyndon Amick, who also has damage on the front end of his car from an earlier altercation. And there goes Goodwin and the trio by right there, all those young rookie drivers as we work lap 31 at Bowman Gray Stadium. A good crowd on hand here tonight for the Husqvarna 100. This is one of those races where if you were a lady, you really had the good fortune to get in tonight for only $1. A very special promotion being put on here at the stadium in Winston-Salem.
Good promotion and some good racing still from these two rookie contenders. Ronnie Goodwin has been coming on more and more throughout the season, and it's showing. Daryl Murray, who currently leads in the rookie point standings in his Mustang, right on the rear bumper. It's interesting, Murray is in the only Mustang in the field as we look again at that crumpled hood of Lyndon Amick.
London going to the inside of Daryl Murray. They almost touch. Matter of fact, they scrub each other. And Murray dives over to the inside of Goodwin as Goodwin now has gotten in front of Murray now. Like you said, this is a battle within a battle because Ronnie Goodwin would like to be the Rookie of the Year for the series, as well as Daryl Murray, who's right behind him.
Those two again come out of corner number 2, and you can see Daryl and Ronnie right there, nose to tail. Ronnie's doing a good job. Ran last season at Lakeview, while Lancaster Speedway was where Daryl Murray competed, and both those tracks are dirt tracks.
That's correct. As a matter of fact, Ronnie Goodwin won a lot of races at Lakeview Speedway. Felt like he had met his goal at winning those events and decided he would try the asphalt this year. While Daryl Murray's folks are involved in the Lancaster Speedway, he's away every Saturday night racing in this division.
I think two good examples of drivers able to get onto a pavement touring series through the Dash Series, and a couple nice young folks that hopefully will continue to succeed in this sport of NASCAR Dash racing. Goodwin down the front straightaway, succeeding at least to this point in keeping Daryl Murray in his rearview mirror.
They work down the back straightaway. They come up on Jim Safford. Safford in the 43 car. The Miss Birdie's Iced Tea Carolina Treat Barbecue Sauce entry shows some smoke, and they're about to split him, but now they decide to go to the high side. I really enjoyed all that iced tea that Jim provided all the crew this afternoon.
You got that
NASCAR
right.
tech truck, and boy, everybody's threading the needle going around him right now as we go back in-car camera on the Lyndon Amick machine, and Lyndon kind of taps him a little bit. Hey, Jim, you need to move over here. You're in my way. And Safford, having made the show here, had to be quite proud of his success. Safford in the 43 car.
Well, with Safford's sponsor, the Ice Tea Company, and what you had said about Amick's car overheating, maybe that was Amick's thought of trying to get some compensation. Right here, though, this is no funny business here. These two guys are going right at it. The current second-place runner in the number 10 TCI Prime Star car, Danny Bagwell, leading the wins machine of Will Hobgood, and this is a battle for second place on the racetrack.
Well, he told me earlier today, he said, you know, Larry Wallace does the heads on this car, and he's been doing quite a good job. As now we see the leader, Hutto, move to the inside of Safford. Safford right in front of the Jenkins car. They head down the back straightaway, and this time Safford's on the high side of the racetrack. Bagwell is able to clear him. They come up on Michael Kelly in the 12 now, or 62 that is. And several drivers now starting to go a lap down.
David Hutto has really got himself a good race car tonight. It's able to run low. It's able to pass high. He goes to work on Doug Thompson's 05. That's the Kansas runner who's made just about 2/3 of the starts this season.
Oh, hang on, Ronnie Goodwin.
Look at Ronnie.
He's dirt tracking.
He sure is. He thinks he's in Lakeview for just a second, and that, I'm sure, gets the attention of Thompson, and even more importantly, Hutto and Bagwell and Will Hobgood, who are running for the top 3, trying to make a pass.
He is flat loose. Rear end slipping and sliding beneath the cars. He races with Junior Miller. Miller finally gets in front of Goodwin. Goodwin now right in front of Doug Thompson, but Hutto is having to worry about the traffic because second and third place are now on his heels, and Goodwin still having problems with a loose handling race car.
David's going to have to pass him here in the straightaway as they're getting close to the corner. Oh, tight company there for those two.
Nearing the halfway juncture of the race, 46 laps have now been completed. Hutto has cleared the back markers and is chasing Junior Miller. And high on the outside of Doug Thompson goes Danny Bagwell in the TCI Ford. He comes up on Goodwin. Hobgood says this is a tight racetrack. You have to be careful every second, otherwise you find yourself in deep trouble. A narrow racetrack with surrounding guardrail all the way around it. You could probably save your car if you spun into the football field, but if you go into that outside retaining wall, you're going to do a considerable amount of damage.
Bagwell extending his advantage over Hobgood at this point as they enter corner number 2. Danny's got himself just enough cushion there where he can start thinking once again about chasing down David Hutto, who is trying to find the easy route around one of the most difficult drivers to pass here at any time, Junior Miller. And now Junior's car skating to the outside has opened the door for the 18-year-old.
Well, I really believe Junior realized, hey, it's inevitable. He's going to try to get by me. He is the leader. I've been the leader here a lot at Bowman Gray. I need to let him on by. He's running his own race, and I'm a lap down. Now I'm 2 laps down. And Hutto, though, very smartly getting around the racetrack, and I must give a call out to Junior Miller. By not racing with Hutto, he allowed the young 18-year-old driver to on by. And there's Jim Safford. Safford battling now with Lyndon Amick. Amick on the high side. Look at all the damage on the front end of that car that was incurred when he ran into Johnny Smith earlier in the contest.
This is not going to be a pretty run for Lyndon Amick, but it's going to be one of those runs that he gains experience. And running with a hood like that, as you had mentioned, it's going to overheat the car. I'm certain that it's not handling just the correct way, but Lyndon's going to pick up something that he can catalog for future events.
Well, Jim Safford getting ready to go another lap down. Send us another iced tea up here, Jim, or give us some of that Carolina Treat barbecue sauce. He's a good friend of mine. He raced down at Myrtle Beach Speedway for several seasons in the mini-stock division, formerly raced in Sports Car Club of America. Hutto gets into the corner and slides down to the inside of Darrell Murray. Murray's going to race with him, and Hutto runs up on the back of Michael Kelly and starts to bide his time a little bit so that he doesn't get overly aggressive here. Realizes he could do a lot of damage to his race car if that were the case.
Hutto moving on the outside of Murray. And now look at Safford. Safford and Bagwell tangling, and Hobgood right there with him. It looked like Dwayne Haynes looped it, trying to avoid that incident.
Everybody drives away. We still have Safford parked there along with Haynes. Looks like that Safford, as he gets into the corner, drives in a little hard. Bagwell cuts in front of him. He tags him in the quarter panel. Hobgood stands on the brakes, and at this point also Safford standing on the brakes. He realized he has hooked the man riding in second place. Hobgood barely avoids tragedy here. Lap 56 here at Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Husqvarna 100. There's more to come in this exciting contest in moments.
Same old racetrack we've been up here the last 2 years. The real small, bottom's the only place you can run. You know, if you're quick, you got a car in front of you, he's got to give you a little courtesy, because if you don't, you got to get him out the way and go to the front. You know, that's the only way you can do up here. It's just a bull ring. That's, you know, these little racetracks get the name bull ring, and that's what they are.
Welcome back to Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, for the Husqvarna 100. Lenny Baticki, as well as myself, Bill Hennessy, here for a great night of racing. Kind of unusual racetrack. Field house down between turns 3 and 4. No pits in the infield. Everybody has to pit outside the racetrack. And we'll have Hank Schofield, Public Relations Director, coming up here in just a few moments to explain the format of the races and how they conduct the activities at Bowman Gray. As immediately everybody's slipping and sliding, we have a yellow flag situation. So with this opportune time, let's go to Hank Schofield and find out about the unusual way they conduct the races.
Of course, one of the things that's rather obvious to spectators is that the pit area is out of sight of the spectators behind the field house, and for that reason we try to avoid races that require pit stops. The fans can't see it. It doesn't mean much to have them. The track is flat. This quarter mile around this football field is real tricky. It's difficult to drive. Some drivers I've heard say it's easy. Others, well, the great Curtis Turner once said, as we looked over it one night, this would have been a great place to build a racetrack.
Hank Schofield sure has seen a lot of drivers here at Bowman Gray Stadium come and go. He's seen good ones, he's seen bad ones. One of the good drivers of the NASCAR Dash Series is Darrell Murray. Darrell, how's your season been going so far?
Well, we've been having some pretty good runs here. We've had 3 or 4 top 10 runs, and I think the second place, David, he's had a good bit of bad luck here lately, and we've been on a roll here, had some pretty good finishes.
Have you talked to any of the veterans about how to race this track?
Yeah, I talked to Mickey a little bit ago, and he said the best thing is just get to the inside and just stay there, and you just kind of hold your position. You'll be there at the end.
A carpenter by profession. He's been racing for 9 years. We get ready to go back to some more racing action here at Bowman Gray Stadium. Cars on the inside are a lap down as Daryl Murray is at the present time. The cars on the outside of the racetrack are in the lead lap. Jimmy Howell waving a green flag as they head down for the first quarter. Murray's going to try to get back into the lead lap here as we see Bagwell move to the inside of Hutto to give a challenge going for turn 3.
Pair of two-time winners, in fact, a trio of two-time winners, as all Hutto and Bagwell and Hobgood have 2 victories apiece this season. And it looks like David has been able to hold off Danny this lap, but Daryl Murray continuing at the tail end of the lead lap, so to speak, as he gets into corner number 3.
With the track heavily oiled down, he's using his dirt track experience to his advantage by actually slipping and sliding around the racetrack. He can handle a loose race car as he's doing right now. Car cocks around from beneath him. He gathers it back up and heads down the back straightaway. So Murray doing some dirt tracking. Now we see Bagwell going to the outside of Hutto, getting very aggressive. There is Hobgood, another dirt track racer. Now they make contact into each other. He's into the back of the Daryl Murray car. Murray goes around and round. Whew, what excitement here on the front straightaway on the replay, Lenny.
Well, you've watched the cars here as they get together, just coming off corner number 4. Danny on the outside, Will on the inside. Look at Hobgood's car actually ride up on Bagwell's machine, and then Danny gets into Daryl Murray. Daryl backing into the first corner wall.
I guarantee you Daryl's probably saying, what happened? They came out of nowhere, and that's exactly what they did as everybody goes to the grass to avoid Daryl Murray. Well, unfortunate for him because he was trying to stay on the lead lap.
Mickey told him to stay to the inside, but he forgot to tell him that if he wasn't fast enough, some of the leaders would run right through him.
77 laps on the board. We'll be back with more here at Bowman Gray Stadium. It's exciting. It's the Husqvarna 100 here at Bowman Gray Stadium, which is around a football field. Rather unusual racetrack, a quarter-of-a-mile bull ring with off-camber turns. Danny Bagwell had this acknowledgement of the racetrack.
Yeah, it really is a unique racetrack. In fact, this thing's really not banked at all. If anything, it's banked the wrong way, you know. We was here one year and it rained like cats and dogs and the water ran off the outside of the racetrack. So you got to kind of set up a little backwards from everything that you normally do. We had a good race here last year. We finished 3rd, kind of got on a little skirmish on the last lap and slid across backwards and bent everything up and hauled it home in a box. And 92 we won here, had a real good car. 93 we had some problems and didn't make the race. So we've had from one end of the spectrum to the other, very bad and very good.
A win, a second, and a DNF, and he's running second right now. Looks like he has the opportunity to maybe be in a position to get by David Hutto and pick up victory number 2 at this racetrack and victory number 3 on the season as we get ready to go back to green flag racing action here at Bowman Gray Stadium. Making the break is Hutto as Jimmy Howell waves the green flag. Bagwell rides in second place, and there is Hobgood. No less damage on his car than he had before he ran into the back of Daryl Murray. And that car is on the move now. In-car camera with Larry Caudle coming up on the back of Mike Swain Jr. as they head onto the front straightaway. You can see just how thick the traffic is and how hard it is to get by someone on the outside of the racetrack as he's now racing with Doug Thompson. And Doug showing some smoke from behind his car. Oil trailing from behind it, and of course earlier we put out a lot of the oil dry and speedy dry compound to try to absorb that oil, but this track is still quite slick. Hutto has actually moved away from the second place runner, and a little further back we see a Robert Huffman going to the high side of Gary Moore, but a spin, and that is Ronnie Goodwin. The Laurel Hill, North Carolina driver has turned the 15 car around and gets the car righted back. He's going to go a lap down here as the leaders go by. But for Ronnie Goodwin, he raced dirt all last year and in previous years at a little short track called Lakeview Speedway near Lakeview, South Carolina, just off Highway number 9. If you've been down to Myrtle Beach Speedway, you've passed by the sign that says, "Turn here to Lakeview." Why is he out here and why is he battling with all these drivers? Well, he's looking for some experience, and he's gained a lot of valuable experience during the first half of the season. For him, he wants to make a hard charge here during the second half.
Well, really, all I want to do mainly the half of the season was just, get some laps under my belt, and and get familiar with everybody, their driving style, all, and let them know that I'm out there to race too, And last week we finished 6th, thanks to the crew, because I'll be out of town a lot and can't work on the car, and I come here and the car is ready to go, and I just come here and do my thing, and it's teamwork, what it really amounts to.
Ronnie Goodwin definitely has a good, strong team to stand behind him and bring a car to the racetrack. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing. A driver who arrived here late today happened to be Dave Stacy. Now, perhaps everybody was wondering, well, who practiced his car? Well, that was young B.J. Mackey. Turned a lot of laps in the car. But Dave Stacy was up in Cleveland, Ohio, where they were running the Indy cars in the Cleveland Grand Prix, racing an electric car going around the racetrack. Very quiet, a whole bit. He ran 5th in the Wright State University entry, so congratulations to his fine effort there in the efforts for ecology and the environment, racing an electric car. Back in car camera, here's Lyndon Amick with his hood all folded up right behind Robert Huffman as they head down the front straightaway, and by Jimmy Howell, Huffman right in front of him in the Hooked on Harry's car. Back up front is Danny Bagwell. He's riding in second place behind David Hutto. Will Hobgood rides in third. Mickey York's a lap down. Fourth is Mike Swaim Jr. And Doug Thompson is flat, fogging for mosquitoes here at Bowman Gray.
Oh, that Kansas Jayhawk is sure going to make the Bowman Gray Stadium fans remember that he was here as the 05 is billowing smoke all around this quarter-mile bull ring. And you see Huffman on the outside. He wants to get away from that area. And Amick, I wonder how much Lyndon can see of that, whether he thinks it's a car crashed in front of him or not. Oh, we get a good in-car shot. And I often wonder how many people tuning in think that's a Mercedes logo on there and they're watching the European Touring Car Series. But we look up front, and this is obviously not touring cars. This is NASCAR dash racing at the tight Winston-Salem Oval. And Bagwell and Hobgood continue to badger one another.
These are 4-cylinder cars with 2-barrel 500 CFM Holley carburetors. They weigh 2,500 and 2,600 pounds. They are very, very quick, and they put on quite a show. And we're seeing an extremely good show here as we work just beyond lap 70 at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Larry Caudle now has gotten by Gary Moore. Drives to the inside of Shane Jenkins, and we see a little smoke coming out from beneath Caudle's car. Hopefully that's not spelling any doom for him, as he is the current points leader. Moore to the inside of Jenkins, and now Huffman is caught behind the 77.
Out of the turn, David Hutto, the race leader in the Shell Fire and Ice Pontiac, brings it around by the field house. And down the front straightaway, we see Doug Thompson's car go quiet right there in the infield grass. It looked like he went for a touchdown and only ended up on the 20-yard line.
Well, they had posted his number several laps ago and had given him the black flag continuously. And there's Huffman into the outside retaining wall. Huffman crashing here on the front straightaway. Yellow flag waving once again. Doug Thompson will drive off. But Huffman, the driver who was third in the points, this is going to be a costly crash for the driver that has his window net down to signify, yeah, I'm okay, but the car is badly damaged.
Well, here on lap number 93, this is certainly going to make it an interesting run to the finish, as Robert Huffman's car is going to have to be towed away from that area. We may go to that green, white, and checker rule as we see Doug Thompson bring his Ford down into the pit area.
He certainly travels one of the furthest distances away from the southeast to race here, all the way from Kansas. Huffman being attended to by the track safety crew, and the wrecker is there to give him a lift. This race must end under a green-white checker. We will go beyond lap 100 to finish this race. When we return, we'll have those final 2 exciting laps from here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Husqvarna 100 for the NASCAR Dash Series. Bill Hennessy along with Lenny Baticki. We must end this race under a green-white checker. We have gone to lap 99, so we're going to go beyond the 100-lap schedule distance for this contest to make sure that we get a winner under racing conditions. It's Hutto, Bagwell, and Hobgood, along with Swaim, the top 4 cars contesting for the win. The green flag flies down to turn 1, Lenny.
All 4 cars up front have tasted victory champagne. Young David Hutto, just 18. He may not be able to drink it legally, but he sure wants another shot at holding the bottle. Down into corner number 3 and out of 4. This was the first lap down. We'll go to the white flag.
White flag waves for young David Hutto, looking for victory number 3. The Pontiac down the back straightaway, the Ford in tow. Tight racetrack. I don't believe anybody's going to be able to challenge Hutto as he takes the checkered flag and victory number 3 here in the 1995 racing season for this young 18-year-old driver from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Bagwell certainly had a good run, but Bagwell, 1 win here at Winston-Salem, 2 seconds and 1 DNF. A man who certainly has enhanced this young driver's racing efforts has been engine builder Richard Mash. For many of you, you may not be familiar with the name, but he was the guy that stood behind Harry Gant in his Sportsman title and wins back in the late 70s. And Mash moved into the Dash Series and has helped drivers through their careers to the next level. So David Hutto is set to take his window net down here, and of course his dad, Jimmy Hutto, set to give him congratulations on the 3rd victory here in the 1995 season. Race number 12 is in the record books. The man in victory lane is young David Hutto, who led 102 laps of the 100-lap distance.
David Hutto has led wire to wire at Bowman Gray. David, your plan worked right from the start.
Well, on that first lap, I tried to get in, but the Shell Fire and Ice Pontiac, it really ran well all night, The only problem I had was the brakes got a little bit spongy about halfway. But my crew, they really did a good job. I'd like to thank all the sponsors, Guardian, Shell, all the sponsors. And I'd like to thank Husqvarna and Goodies for all they do for the series, and I'm glad we come home a winner.
Hutto came into this contest 5th in points. He will move to 4th in points. He receives the congratulations to many of his crew and, of course, his dad, who is with him with each and every time he takes a green flag, and especially a very fine occasion here to pick up the checkered flag at Bowman Gray tonight. His dad, Jimmy Hutto, standing behind his son for some 7 years of racing from go-karts to the dirt tracks of South Carolina, now to the Goody's NASCAR Dash Series. The man who finished a little further back, as a matter of fact, he claimed 5th, but he had a clean race all evening long. Larry Caudill continues to maintain the points lead ahead of Lyndon Amick, who had some problems. Larry Caudill's comments following tonight's race, rather interesting from a driver now in a position to pick up championship number 3 here in 1995.
Larry Caudill brought his race car home 5th.
Man, I am thrilled to death to bring it home 5th. We started 10th, and probably the toughest racetrack on our division circuit was this racetrack, and I was worried because I was on the outside. I took my time. The race car performed absolutely perfect handling-wise. The motor didn't miss a speed or skip one time, but the water temperature, it went over past 280 degrees with about 30 laps to go, and I'm telling you, I wish we hadn't had a water temperature gauge in the car, because that's the only thing I had my mind on, what hose was going to break loose and when the water was going to go under my tires. But thank God it stayed together. In the last 2 or 3 laps, I was getting steam and stuff even coming in the cockpit. But I'm thrilled to death. We gained some points on the 2nd and 3rd place car. We got through, I think, the toughest race of the year for the cars, the potential of getting them torn all to pieces, battering rams and so on. But we got a week off now. We're trying to get a new car together for me, and there's not too many dents on the car to work on the next 2 weeks. Maybe they can get a little closer getting the new car ready.
What Larry Caudill didn't tell you is the new car is a brand new Dodge Avenger. He leads the points chase right now with 1,880. Lyndon Amick maintains 2nd at 1,812. Robert Huffman following the crash is at 1,771. Hutto after the win has 1,765. Will Hobgood with 1,755. The top 10 finishers, 10th goes to Shane Jenkins. Mickey York is 9th. Scott Weaver 8th. Lyndon Amick is 7th. Gary Moore is 6th. Larry Caudill is 5th. Mike Swaim Jr. 4th. Hobgood 3rd. Bagwell 2nd. And Hutto 1st. The driver who had a good run as the top finishing rookie here this evening is Mike Swaim Jr., who held on in the Management Resources Pontiac.
Mike Swaim brought it home 4th at a tough track. What was it like?
Well, it was really rough out there. It's hard to do any passing. We had a good qualifying run, and that was the key to it, getting the start up front, and we just, didn't get run over from behind, and we tried to keep our nose clean all night and come away here top finishing rookie, and we accomplished our goals, so we're going to go on to Myrtle Beach.
Congratulations to Mike Swaim Jr. on receiving Rookie of the Race honors. A second-generation driver. Certainly had a good run here this evening. Will Hobgood avoided tragedy when he ran in the back of Darrell Murray and smartly kept his car going in the right direction. He had these comments to Lenny Baticki.
Congratulations to Will Hobgood on a great third-place run.
Yeah, it was a pretty good, run for us. We had a third-place qualifying, but thought we was going to do better than that, and we got together with a couple cars there with about 20, 30 to go, and it bent the rear end tube, and we had to take what we could get, so we basically was trying to survive them last 20 laps.
Danny Bagwell would like to have picked up his third win of the 1995 racing season. When the green flag flew, he was on the pole. Perhaps he got snickered. I really don't know. But for Danny Bagwell, he felt like he came up short because the outside front row led all 102 laps of competition. He ran second.
Danny Bagwell started on the pole, finished second. Not a bad night.
Well, it's a good night for the TCI Prime Star Ford. I think we had a real disappointing start. I done had a talk with the officials, and they realized it was not a fair start, but they let it go anyway. I don't think that's a good deal, a good way to run the show. This is NASCAR. I got to run like they say. But, I don't want you to cut this either. I love racing with these guys. I don't want to take nothing away from David. He qualified 1592. I qualified 1591. Neither one of us could have passed each other if one got in front to start with. But David was about 3 car lengths ahead of me when they gave the green flag. On the start, the pole sitter everywhere I raced before starts the race. Not, when the flag drops green, the pole sitter starts the race. Well, it's okay to get beat on the start, but it ain't okay to get jumped on the first start and let it go,
Once you got beat off the start, what was your opportunities?
Well, the only thing I could do was hope for him to get hung behind a lap car, and that happened a couple of times, but he still come out on top. That shows what good driver he is. We had a few run-ins with a couple other guys, but racing's racing. It's a real tight track. It's a good show for the fans, I'm sure. A lot of smoke and fire.
A great show for the fans. Sometimes you get the breaks, sometimes you don't. You can mark that up to being racing. A contact sport here at Bowman Gray Stadium. One driver taken out of the competition in the chase for the points title and a previous winner on the tour is Robert Huffman. He's with Lenny Baticki.
Well, it's a good night for the Harry Seafood car. It's kind of rough. I was having to hold it in third gear the whole race. I was having to drive it one-handed, and, I really didn't get a chance to express what the car really had and, run up on some lap cars there. It's just a shame that they can't stay out of the way like they should, and respect the guys that's on the lead lap. And it cost me a pretty good shot there at the end of the race for a good finish, but we'll come back next week.
What an atmosphere to have a race in at Bowman Gray Stadium where they normally play football. Yes, it's a contact sport, but the survivor, he's David Hutto. Congratulations to David. For Lenny Baticki, our pit reporter and co-anchor, I'm Bill Hennessy. We'll see you at the races.